నమస్తే, వెల్కమ్ టు స్పెషల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. ఇవాళ మనతో ఒక ప్రత్యేకమైనటువంటి అతిథి ఉన్నారు. ఆయన చదరంగంలో మకుటం లేని మహారాజు లాంటి వ్యక్తి. ఎన్నో అద్భుతమైనటువంటి విజయాలు సాధించారు. తన 3 దశాబ్దాల సుదీర్ఘ క్రీడా జీవితంలో 5 సార్లు 5 టైమ్స్, ఒక్కసారి 2 సార్లు కాదు 5 సార్లు ప్రపంచ చెస్ విజేతగా ఆయన అద్భుతమైనటువంటి రికార్డును కూడా సొంతం చేసుకున్నారు. ఆయన ఎవరో ఇప్పటికే మీకు అర్థమైపోయి ఉంటుంది. ఎస్, హీ ఈజ్ నన్ అదర్ దెన్ పద్మవిభూషణ్, రాజీవ్ గాంధీ ఖేల్రత్న అవార్డు గ్రహీత, ఇంకా ఎన్నో అవార్డులు అతను సొంతం చేసుకున్నారు. విశ్వనాథన్ ఆనంద్, లెజెండరీ చెస్ ప్లేయర్, గ్రాండ్ మాస్టర్, మనతో పాటు ఇవాళ అందుబాటులో ఉన్నారు. ఆనంద్ గారు, వీఆర్ వెరీ హ్యాపీ టు హ్యావ్ యూ యాజ్ అవర్ గెస్ట్ టుడే.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You are doing great.
Yes, I'm doing well. Enjoying the last month. Quiet.
And coming to your recent victory, recently India has got first ever gold medal in chess Olympiad couple of weeks ago, I guess. And you are part of the team, and it is a historical victory for India. So how did you celebrate the historical victory?
Well, like most people, we celebrated everything online. But I think mainly it's just a deep feeling of satisfaction. I mean, I have played many Olympiads, but to actually win it, and I felt that this time every team member could go away proud, because we each one seemed to have a critical role to play at some moment or the other, and that was very nice. So all the youngsters, the women, especially Humpy and Harika, both did some crucial saves here and there. I think Harika, I remember against Russia, she had a difficult position and through that. Humpy obviously got us through the Armageddon against Poland. But every team member chipped in, and that was very helpful.
Right, Anand garu, aithe this Olympiad is something special. Endukante this happened on a virtual basis. So it is something different. Yes. When we compare with the previous Olympiads, and something special also because India has got gold medal. So team combination was perfect. So how different it is from the previous Olympiads, and because players participated from their home, right?
Yes. Well, exactly. As you pointed out, this Olympiad was different because it happened entirely online.
Yes.
And that meant the whole experience changed. I mean, normally the team spirit comes when you go for breakfast together, when you meet for the team meetings in someone's room, you talk, you make jokes. That's how you get the feeling of being in a team. And this time we lacked that, and we had to compensate for it. On the other hand, nobody had trouble getting anywhere, nobody lost luggage. So, it's a totally different experience. I feel it gave them a chance to experiment with the format. So as opposed to the usual top 5 men, this year they had 2 male players, 2 female players, and 2 juniors. And that meant that the format was ideal for India, because we have excellent players on every board.
Yes.
And literally, you could point to every match, like I said, and some player made a decisive contribution or the other. And then everyone feels that they're participating, and so in fact we got the team spirit back. It's a bit funny virtually, but you get used to it after a while.
Okay, usually you people participate face to face, you sit face to face and play the game, but this is something different. Is it difficult for the players, or how do you see, how do you look at this?
Well, for me the hardest part was realizing that the game is about to start, because normally you have some external cues. Normally I'm in another city. You either have, the time has come to walk to the tournament hall or get into the official car to go to the tournament hall. You enter the hall, the arbiter is there, the other people are there, and you switch. Here I'm sitting at home, and till the game starts you don't have the feeling it's about to start, and then suddenly it starts, and that's the bit I found hardest to get used to. Maybe the youngsters who play a lot online, they found it much easier to get used to. So each one experienced it in a different way.
Yeah.
But with practice, you get better at it, like most things.
The entire world is facing a pandemic situation. Everybody knows we have been facing that. problem.
Right.
So did it bring any changes in your daily routine? How did you handle?
In March, I was actually supposed to play a club match in Germany and then fly back right after the weekend, March 17th, if you want to be exact.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I was supposed to fly back, and what happened was on Thursday, the weekend match was cancelled. And then on by Saturday or Sunday, I realized the flight had been cancelled. And like this. So initially, I just didn't know what was going to happen. And it always felt, well, maybe now they will cancel everything for 1 or 2 weeks and then we can go back. In fact, it took me almost 2 months, 2.5 months after that to get the flight back. I think the main thing this year is simply getting used to this new idea that everything we used to take for granted is no longer possible.
Yes.
You know, meeting people, talking, going out, all these things changed. But slowly you get used to it. I think already by mid-April, you mentally knew if you go out, you try to avoid getting close to people. You keep the social distancing. You do what you can at home because obviously the medical community deals with it very differently. But for us, this is what we're supposed to do. We just do it. And yes, I must also admit that we are lucky that we can do this. I mean, clearly there are people on the front line, but we are able to do this. And by now it feels natural. In fact, now to go out feels unnatural. The other thing is, once I got home, I literally spent the whole day with my family. I mean, we are here 24 hours a day with each other in the same place. And that is also a new experience. So there are some things that changed for the better, but in general, yes, I'm also waiting for the world to go back to how it was.
ఆనంద్ గారు, మీరు చాలా గ్రేట్ ప్లేయర్స్తో ఆడారు, లెజెండ్స్తో ఆడారు. యూ ప్లేడ్ విత్ మెనీ గ్రేట్ ప్లేయర్స్. సో హూ ఈస్ ద టఫెస్ట్ అపోనెంట్ యూ ఫేస్డ్ సో ఫార్ ఇన్ యువర్ కెరియర్ సో ఫార్?
Generally, I answer this question along. There are a couple of questions like this, like what is the greatest success of your life?
Yeah.
What is the greatest failure of your life? Who is the toughest opponent you've played? And I would say there isn't such a thing. There are many moments which I remember very happily as successes. There are many moments that feel like failures, and there are many people who are difficult at different moments. I mean, typically it will be the people you had the biggest matches against, but at a certain moment when you can't get past someone, that person is very difficult. It's very difficult. You can't pick out a name, but it's the typical group. I mean, Kasparov, Karpov, Carlsen, Kramnik, Gelfand. I mean, I will generally run through the names that you're most familiar with, but there are many other opponents that you may not even have heard of that I remember having problems with in one way or the other.
You have been playing chess for almost 3 decades, I guess, if I'm not wrong. Rules are being changed these days because when you started chess playing, rules were different. Now rules are being changed gradually. How you have adapted to these new rules, new game, everything? Lot of changes have been taken place.
Yes, in fact, when I try to remember what chess was like when I was in my teens, I can't compare it with today. Just not only the chess world changed, but the world changed in so many different ways. And in fact, now it's getting faster and faster. I mean, this online chess is kind of extreme in the sense that we have suddenly been forced to play only online. But even in other ways, the nature of preparation, the nature of work, what the arbiters do, how the events happen, all sorts of routines, everything has changed. Of course, it happened gradually, so I think it's only sudden change which is hard to get used to. Otherwise, we all get used to. To give you another example, 20 years ago, I was totally used to the idea that I didn't have a phone at all times. And now we all have a phone at all times, and people are always able to reach us. And you're always able to look for something. But these changes, as long as they happen gradually, you just get used to it. And it's a question of keeping an open mind. This year's changes have been much harder because they were imposed and very suddenly. And I think it takes 1 or 2 months before you even can figure out how to cope.
How the patronization for the chess these days when we compare with olden days? Is it increased or decreased across the country?
I think it has increased a lot, especially because chess is quite easily followed and played online. In that sense, having so many people at home who suddenly have free time to try and play chess, I mean, you can see it in all the online chess sites, their traffic has doubled or even tripled. And in that sense, it has chess has been able to introduce itself to a lot of new people. Besides that, we were anyway getting lots and lots of youngsters playing chess, and that has been very healthy for the game.
Yeah. And as far as I know, meeku oka abbayi unnadu, we have a son, Anand Akhil.
Yes.
So how is he doing right now? Is he into studies, or he's going to become a grandmaster like you? What is happening?
Well, he plays chess, but right now he has to combine it with studies. He's also he likes coding, and we try to keep him with all of his hobbies. Painting, dancing, all the things he likes to practice. Some things are not possible at the same way, like his gymnastics. Clearly, what you can do at home and with the teacher is quite different. But we try to encourage him to keep all his hobbies, and he's also coping like all youngsters. This is a new time. Suddenly, he hasn't seen his school friends outside of the online world for many months, but I think he's coping well, and he keeps his spirits up, and that's the main thing.
So he is not completely into the chess like you.
No, he likes chess, and definitely it's possible that he takes it up more. But this year, it's just very hard to do anything.
Yeah. Viswanathan Anand to in everyone's success, definitely family members play crucial role. అది మీకు కూడా అది అప్లికేబుల్ అవుతుంది. ఖచ్చితంగా మీరు చాలా ఇంటర్వ్యూస్లో చెప్పారు. యువర్ వైఫ్, యువర్ లైఫ్ పార్ట్నర్ అరుణ. సో ఇన్ యువర్ సక్సెస్, వాట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ రోల్ has she played?
Obviously, principally, as my wife, we were traveling together everywhere, and she's the closest person I can discuss anything with and all that. Besides that, we evolved into a situation where she started managing my affairs, and this allowed me to focus completely on the game, and that happened very naturally. And it still is the case that for almost everything else, I depend on her, and I just focus on playing.
And many people don't know about your journey. When was it started? When was your journey of chess? When was it started, and how it was started?
Well, okay, so I learned it at the age of 6 from my mother.
Okay.
And then I joined a chess club, the Michael Tal Chess Club, because I think my parents my family noticed that I seemed to be caught in the game, so they tried to encourage me to take it further. And slowly I started playing in competitions and rising up the ranks. But that pretty much is how it started. And it was boosted by the fact that my father got a short assignment in the Philippines. And there was a lot of chess happening. So that also helped me when I was about 9 years old.
Okay, that's great. And many parents, especially middle class parents, they don't support when their kids want to choose the career option as sports. So in your case, what happened?
I was very fortunate that my parents were very, very supportive. I mean, they may have had apprehensions, because 40 years ago, it was a valid fear.
Yeah.
It was not unjustified. It was a valid fear that, can you make a living in the sport? And they may have been worried, but they never showed me, and that was very helpful for me, because then you feel that they are supporting you. And I was lucky that in many ways, I know many people who, at least in those days, who used to say, oh, I really want to do this and do that, but at some point I had to take up a job, that sort of thing. I was very fortunate that I could pursue chess as my career.
You are lucky enough in that way.
Yes.
Right. And when we talk about sports arena, world sports arena, if we talk about tennis, we must talk about Roger Federer. If we talk about cricket, we must talk about Sachin Tendulkar. In the same way, if we talk about chess, definitely we must talk about Viswanathan Anand. So you have been playing for the 3 decades almost. So what is the motivating factor? Meek inspiration enti?
Basically, I like playing chess. I like everything associated with it. It's the most natural life that I've led. I've been a chess player now for 4 decades, if you count from when I was playing in a club. And I like playing. Of course, you have to keep learning and adapting, but I find it enjoyable, and that's the main thing, I think, keeping me in the game.
మనందరికీ తెలిసి ఈ మధ్యకాలంలోనే ద గ్రేట్ లెజెండరీ సింగర్ ఎస్పి బాలసుబ్రహ్మణ్యం గారు హెస్ పాస్డ్ అవే. వెరీ సాడ్ న్యూస్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ అస్. I heard that you have some association with him as well. Can you share some of your, if there is any experience or association with him?
If I remember correctly, there was a gentleman, famous Telugu poet, maybe you know him, Mr. Arudra. He used to participate, he was there in chess circles. And at some point there was a proposal to send a junior team, even almost I would say sub-junior team. There were some slightly senior players. And there was something called the National Team Championship. So normally the team championship, the teams that can be fielded are associated with the federation, something like that. And they had this idea to send a team of juniors. And Mr. Arudra asked Mr. SP Balasubramaniam if he would support this team. And he agreed. So in a sense, you could say he was my first sponsor. The nice thing about this tournament turned out to be my breakthrough tournament. Okay. Because of the national team championship where I won the top board prize, suddenly I got to qualify for all sorts of tournaments so I had not even planned it. I was supposed to go to Bombay, play the team championship and come back home. But then when I won in Bombay, I had qualified for a tournament which was going to happen in Ahmedabad. So literally without coming back to Chennai, I went on to Ahmedabad. And in Ahmedabad, in my first attempt, I qualified for the national championship.
Okay.
And within 1 year, after playing club tournaments, within 1 year I was playing international, I was representing India abroad. I was playing in all the top events, and I was trying for the Grandmaster title. So it turned out to be my breakthrough year and breakthrough tournament. And of course it was supported by SPB. So for me, that is a very nice connection that maybe it's his touch, his lucky touch that took me on this journey.
Okay.
And many years later, for many years I didn't know whether, Mr. Arudra made him a request and maybe he just did it because he respected him. But many years later, I met him at an airport. And I went very hesitantly and I said, I don't know, maybe you don't remember this whole story. And he said, Nalla nyamam irukku thambi, I remember it very well. And then I realized, okay, he actually, he kind of knew what had happened and he had been following it. And maybe Mr. Arudra had updated him and so on. And that was very nice for me to know. And it was always a kind of connection. A couple of years later, there was a TV show, and because of this connection, they asked him to sing a little bit for me, things like that. And he was always very, very generous. We spoke a couple of times, and
when did you speak with him, sir? Anand garu?
Over the years, I spoke to him a couple of times on the phone, and he was always, he felt like a genuine well-wisher, someone, despite all his greatness, who made you feel special. That was always the feeling I came away from after meeting him.
Okay. And today, if we look at Indian chess, we have so many grandmasters, Hampi, Harika, Hari Krishna, and some other grandmasters from Tamil Nadu as well. Number of grandmasters is increased. But how about the support from the corporate sector or corporate companies? Is it good enough, or do we need more support from corporate sector, sponsors?
I think it can always get better, and you have to continuously work to keep corporates interested and engaged in the game, but it is much better than before.
Do you have any, because you have a lot of experience, do you have any plan to establish any institution to groom the youngsters, something like that? Do you have any plan like that?
I definitely have the intention to work with youngsters and try to pass on my experience and knowledge a little bit. I don't have an exact shape for you, but definitely I have the intention to do some work like that.
Okay. Your message to the enthusiasts who want to take sports or chess as a career option, what do you say to them?
My message to all people is generally the same. Do something. If you really love something, then do it. Life is hard, but if you're doing something you love, then it's much easier. And so, if you like sport, if you like chess, then yeah, definitely go for it and try to see where you can go. If you like something else, that's fine as well. So it's not even sport specific advice. I think it's valid for everyone.
Great message, sir. Do you have any plan to write your autobiography, because it will be helpful to many youngsters? It will be like a guide.
Yes, well, in fact, last year I released my autobiography in December, so to coincide with my 50th birthday.
Oh, great, great.
In fact, I have the book here, so I can show you. It's called Mind Master.
Mind Master. Great.
Mind Master, and it's, I think, very personal, and I hope people will get a lot of insight into the world of chess as a result.
Great, Anand garu. I think you are running out of time. I want to talk with you a lot of things, but
Thank you. I understand. But
thank you so much, and pleasure talking to you. We hope, HMTV is hoping, many more success may come your way, many more awards you may get in the future. Thank you so much for joining us, Viswanathan Anand garu.
Thank you very much.
అది లెజెండరీ చెస్ ప్లేయర్, పద్మ విభూషణ్, రాజీవ్ ఖేల్ రత్న అవార్డు గ్రహీత విశ్వనాథన్ ఆనంద్తో స్పెషల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ చూసాం. తన సక్సెస్ సీక్రెట్ గేమ్ మీద, ఆ ఆట మీద తనకున్నటువంటి ఆసక్తి, ప్యాషనే కారణం. తనలాంటి మరికొంతమంది ఛాంపియన్స్ని తయారు చేయాలనేటువంటి ఆలోచన కూడా తనకుంది. మేబీ త్వరలోనే ఒక అకాడమీ కూడా, ట్రైనింగ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ కూడా ఏర్పాటు చేసే ఆలోచన కూడా ఉంది అని చెప్తున్నారు. మరి అతనికి హెచ్ఎంటీవీ తరపు నుంచి మనం కూడా ఆల్ ద బెస్ట్ చెప్దాం. ఇది వాళ్ళ స్పెషల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. కీప్ వాచింగ్ హెచ్ఎంటీవీ.